In the book, Harry spends a miserable summer at the Dursleys before his second year at Hogwarts. One key detail that the movie removes is Harry's conversations with Dobby inside his bedroom. In the book, Dobby appears on Harry's bed and explains at length why he has come, warning Harry not to return to Hogwarts. The novel shows that Dobby's family has served the Malfoys for generations, and Dobby punishes himself whenever he reveals too much information. The film condenses this by only having Dobby deliver a short warning, leaving out the deeper explanation about house elf servitude and his connection to the Malfoy family. Another change is the pudding incident. In the book, Dobby uses magic to levitate Aunt Petunia's violet pudding into the air and smash it onto the kitchen floor, covering Harry in blame. In the movie, this is altered. Dobby drops the dessert directly onto Mrs. Mason's head, causing chaos at the dinner table. This adjustment makes the scene more visual for film, but shifts the way Harry is punished, since in the book, it is the Ministry's letter about underage magic that enrages Vernon Dursley. When Harry is locked in his room, the novel emphasises the severity of his imprisonment. The Dursleys put bars on Harry's window, feed him through a cat flap, and keep him under near-constant surveillance. Ron, Fred, and George Weasley arrive in their flying car to rescue him. In the book, this escape includes a longer description of the boys physically breaking the bars off Harry's window and pulling his trunk out by rope. The film shortens this sequence, showing only the car hovering outside and Harry climbing directly into it, removing the details about the locked-up room and the slow extraction of Harry's belongings. At the Burrow, the Weasley family home, the book includes far more description and character moments than the movie. In the novel, Harry experiences the house's magical quirks in detail: self-washing dishes, a clock that tracks family members' locations, and gnomes in the garden. He and the Weasley children participate in de-gnoming, a process where the gnomes are physically swung and tossed out of the garden. The film skips this scene entirely, showing only a brief exterior shot of the Burrow before shifting to breakfast with the family. This removes a significant early world-building sequence that introduces the magical household in depth. Another key difference involves Harry's trip to Diagon Alley. In the book, the Floo powder incident is expanded. Harry accidentally says diagonally instead of Diagon Alley, and ends up in Knockturn Alley. There, he witnesses Lucius Malfoy and Borgin and Burkes attempting to sell dark objects to avoid Ministry trouble. Hagrid rescues Harry from suspicious witches and wizards, explaining Knockturn Alley's dangerous reputation. In the movie, the scene is condensed. Harry still mispronounces the destination and ends up in Borgin and Burkes, but the Malfoy exchange and Hagrid's protective role are reduced, minimising Harry's accidental glimpse into darker wizarding dealings. At Flourish and Blott's bookstore, the book version provides more detail on Gilderoy Lockhart's introduction. In the novel, Lockhart pulls Harry into a staged photo op after announcing he will be teaching at Hogwarts. Harry is unwilling and embarrassed, but Lockhart uses him for attention. The film includes this moment, but in a much shorter form, cutting down on the extended descriptions of Lockhart's theatrics. Additionally, the book explains that Lucius Malfoy secretly slips Tom Riddle's diary into Ginny Weasley's cauldron during the crowded scene. In the movie, the handoff is implied but not shown as directly, making it easier to miss how Ginny comes into possession of the cursed diary. On the journey to Hogwarts, the book and the film diverge in pacing and detail. In the novel, the Weasleys and Harry attempt to reach platform 9 3/4 together. Percy, Fred, George, and Ginny all pass through the barrier without issue. But when Harry and Ron try, the entrance seals shut. They are left stranded as the train departs. In the film, the earlier departures are skipped. Instead, it only shows Harry and Ron running at the barrier, crashing into it, and missing the train. The omission reduces the sense of urgency and the fact that their separation from the others was not immediately obvious. The flight to Hogwarts in the Ford Anglia is also different. In the book, the journey is long and exhausting, with Harry and Ron nearly hit by planes, struggling with exhaustion and watching the landscape pass below them. When they finally arrive at Hogwarts, the car crashes into the Whomping Willow and thrashes violently. In the novel, the tree beats the car so severely that Ron's wand breaks during the chaos, and the boys are injured before the car ejects them and their luggage. The movie shows the crash but simplifies it, making the sequence more comedic, with fewer injuries described and less emphasis on Ron's wand being permanently damaged. After the crash, the treatment of the Ford Anglia is another difference. In the novel, the car takes on a life of its own and drives into the Forbidden Forest, where it later reappears to help Ron and Harry during the Acromantula encounter. The film does show the car fleeing into the forest after the crash, but it removes the later moment where the boys discuss the car becoming wild, missing some of the book's subtle emphasis on magical objects gaining independence. When classes begin, several book-to-film changes appear around Gilderoy Lockhart. In the novel, Lockhart is portrayed in more depth as incompetent but self-absorbed, constantly referencing his books and attempting to give Harry unwanted advice about fame. His lessons are full of blunders, such as releasing Cornish pixies without a plan to control them, then fleeing while the students struggle to contain the chaos. The movie includes the pixie scene but shortens it significantly, and much of Lockhart's ongoing interference and misplaced confidence is reduced, lessening how disruptive he was in Harry's school life. The book also gives greater focus to Colin Creevey, the Muggle-born first year who idolizes Harry and constantly takes his picture. Colin's enthusiasm becomes important because he is one of the victims of the basilisk later in the story. In the movie, Colin's character is introduced briefly but with far fewer appearances, which reduces the build-up to his eventual attack and downplays the sense of Muggle-born students being specifically targeted. In the novel, Justin Finch Fletchley, another Muggle-born, is developed further. Justin has a conversation with Harry after a herbology class where he explains that he almost went to Eton, a Muggle school, before discovering his magical heritage. Later, he is also petrified by the basilisk. In the movie, Justin's role is cut down severely. He is barely named, and his attack is shown without the earlier setup, removing context about his background and fears. Another classroom difference is Professor Binns, the ghost who teaches history of magic. In the novel, he is the one who tells the class the legend of the Chamber of Secrets, explaining how Salazar Slytherin supposedly created it to purge Hogwarts of unworthy students. The film removes Binns entirely. Instead, the Chamber's story is told more briefly by Professor McGonagall, cutting out the chance to show the monotony of Binns' lectures and the fuller history of the legend. The book places much greater emphasis on the school's reaction to the attacks than the film does. In the novel, the fear among students grows steadily, with rumours spreading about the heir of Slytherin and arguments breaking out between houses. For example, Hufflepuffs openly suspect Harry after he is seen speaking Parseltongue, and this tension causes isolation for him. The film shows the dueling club scene that reveals Harry's ability, but it does not fully explore how severely his reputation suffers afterward, or how alienated he feels from classmates who once supported him. The Polyjuice Potion subplot is also more detailed in the novel. Hermione takes the lead, stealing ingredients from Snape's private stores and brewing the potion over the course of a month in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. The book carefully explains the difficulty of each step and the dangers involved, such as the need to add a piece of the person's hair to transform correctly. In the movie, the brewing process is drastically shortened and shown in only a few short sequences, leaving out the extended effort and risk. Hermione's accident with Polyjuice Potion also plays out differently. In the book, she mistakenly uses a cat hair from Millicent Bulstrode's robes, which partially transforms her into a cat-like form. She is then forced to spend weeks in the hospital wing recovering. The film includes her transformation, but presents it more briefly, not showing her lengthy recovery or the full embarrassment it caused her. Moaning Myrtle herself has more background in the book. The novel explains that she haunts the bathroom where she died after being killed by the basilisk decades earlier. She recalls being bullied by classmates before her death, particularly by Olive Hornby, and her ghostly behaviour is connected to those experiences. The film includes Myrtle's interactions, but leaves out her history and the detail that the ministry had to intervene to stop her from haunting Olive Hornby after her death. In the book, the discovery of the diary is more gradual and mysterious than in the film. Harry first finds Tom Riddle's diary among his school supplies after Ginny loses control of it, not realising its dark power. At first, the diary seems blank, but Harry later writes in it and discovers it responds, communicating with him directly. The novel carefully details how Riddle shows Harry memories of the chamber's past, including Hagrid being accused of opening it decades earlier. The movie condenses this, showing only one significant flashback and cutting much of the slow build-up that makes the diary seem deceptively harmless at first. Hagrid's role is also treated differently. In the novel, Harry follows the diary's memory into the past and see a young Tom Riddle accuse Hagrid of keeping a dangerous creature, which led to Hagrid's expulsion and the banning of his giant spider, Aragog. The book explores this accusation more fully, showing Riddle's manipulation and how it damaged Hagrid's reputation for life. The movie includes the flashback but removes many of the details, making Riddle's deception less thorough and the connection to Hagrid's expulsion less clear. The trip to the Forbidden Forest is also expanded in the book. Harry and Ron follow the trail of spiders to Aragog, the massive acromantula, who reveals that Hagrid was innocent and that the true monster in the chamber is something spiders fear above all else. The novel emphasises the terror of the forest scene, with hundreds of giant spiders closing in on the boys before the Ford Anglia returns to save them. The film keeps the encounter but shortens Aragog's dialogue and the details about the spider colony, focusing more on action than exposition. The lead-up to the chamber's opening differs greatly between book and film. In the novel, after several attacks leave the school in fear, the situation escalates when Hermione is petrified. Before her attack, she manages to discover the truth about the basilisk and writes it down on a scrap of paper clutched in her hand. This note explains that the monster is a basilisk, a serpent that kills with its gaze, but that no student died because they only saw it indirectly, through reflections, water, or ghosts. The film includes Hermione's petrification, but reduces the detail of her note to one word: pipes. The staff meeting outside the staff room is also shown differently. In the book, Harry and Ron overhear the professors discussing that Ginny Weasley has been taken into the Chamber of Secrets and that her fate is grim. They listen as the teachers argue over what to do, and Lockhart is pressured into acting because he previously boasted about his abilities. In the film, this scene is shortened to a quick conversation where McGonagall informs the students about Ginny's capture, bypassing the overheard meeting and the fuller display of the professor's concern. Lockhart's downfall plays out with more explanation in the novel. When Harry and Ron confront him in his office, they learn that he has never defeated monsters or performed heroic deeds. Instead, he interviewed witches and wizards who had, then modified their memories with advanced memory charms and took the credit for their work. The book emphasizes how dangerous and skilled he is at obliviate spells, despite his incompetence elsewhere. The film keeps the reveal but trims down Lockhart's confession, making it less elaborate and slightly less threatening. The descent into the chamber itself contains several book-to-film changes. In the novel, Professor Lockhart accompanies Harry and Ron to the entrance in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. Myrtle explains that she died after seeing a pair of large yellow eyes by the sink, confirming the chamber's connection to her. Harry then speaks Parseltongue to open the sink, revealing the hidden passage. The movie includes Myrtle's clue and the opening of the sink, but removes some of the build-up, particularly the emotional weight of Myrtle directly describing her death. Inside the chamber, Lockhart attempts to betray the boys. In the book, he steals Ron's wand and tries to cast a memory charm to erase their recollection of his incompetence. Because Ron's wand is broken, the spell backfires, blasting the tunnel, erasing Lockhart's memory, and separating Harry from Ron. The film shows the backfiring spell but shortens the explanation of Lockhart's motives and how thoroughly his memory is wiped. Harry's journey alone into the chamber is described in greater detail in the novel. He walks through a long, eerie passage lined with serpent carvings before reaching the vast underground chamber, dominated by a giant stone statue of Salazar Slytherin. The movie presents this setting visually, but with fewer descriptive details than the book, where the oppressive and ancient atmosphere is emphasized at length. In the final confrontation, the book provides a slower, more layered sequence than the film. In the novel, Harry finds Ginny unconscious on the chamber floor and encounters Tom Riddle, who reveals himself as a memory preserved within the diary. Riddle explains that he manipulated Ginny all year through her writing, feeding on her fears and secrets until he grew strong enough to take form. He also reveals his true identity as Tom Marvolo Riddle, rearranging the letters to spell, "I am Lord Voldemort." The film includes this reveal but delivers it more quickly, omitting much of Riddle's extended monologue about how he controlled Ginny and how he framed Hagrid years earlier. When the basilisk is unleashed, the book carefully shows Harry's fight for survival. Fawkes the Phoenix blinds the serpent by clawing out its eyes, weakening its deadly gaze. The Sorting Hat also appears, delivering Godric Gryffindor's sword for Harry to wield. With it, Harry fatally stabs the basilisk, though he is poisoned in the process. The film follows these events but simplifies the sequence, showing less of the build-up and the back-and-forth struggle, instead emphasizing the climactic sword strike. The destruction of the diary is more detailed in the novel. After being poisoned, Harry uses a basilisk fang to stab the diary, causing ink to pour out like blood as Riddle screams and vanishes. The book makes it clear that the diary is not just a simple enchanted object, but a piece of Voldemort's soul anchoring him to life. The movie includes the stabbing and Riddle's disappearance, but does not highlight the diary's deeper nature, which later connects to the concept of Horcruxes. After the battle, the book lingers on the aftermath with details that the film condenses. In the novel, Fawkes heals Harry's basilisk wound with Phoenix tears, allowing him to recover enough strength to lead Ginny, Ron, and the memory-wiped Lockhart out of the chamber. The journey back through the tunnels is described in detail, emphasizing their exhaustion and relief. The movie shows Fawkes healing Harry but skips over the long trek out of the chamber, cutting directly to their reappearance at Hogwarts. Back at the castle, the book gives a fuller account of Dumbledore's return and the consequences of the chamber's opening. Dumbledore explains to Harry that loyalty to him is what summoned Fawkes, reinforcing the theme of choice and allegiance. He also discusses Voldemort's lingering influence, the diary's dark magic, and Harry's connection to the Dark Lord through Parseltongue. The movie includes Dumbledore's conversation, but trims down the philosophical explanation, giving less weight to Harry's fears about similarities between himself and Voldemort. Lucius Malfoy's confrontation with Dumbledore is expanded in the book. He arrives with Dobby, arguing that Dumbledore should be removed again as headmaster. Dumbledore, however, subtly reveals Lucius's role in slipping the diary to Ginny, though without open accusation. Harry then tricks Lucius into freeing Dobby by giving him the diary with a sock hidden inside. The novel emphasizes Lucius's rage and Dobby's joy at his freedom, while the movie keeps the sequence but stages it more quickly, making the confrontation less layered. The book ends with more detail about the school's recovery. The petrified victims are revived with Mandrake Restorative Draft, exams are cancelled, and Gryffindor House celebrates their victory. The film jumps more quickly to the Great Hall scene of celebration, reducing the extended resolution provided in the novel. One last difference appears in how the book and film close out the school year. In the novel, Hagrid's release from Azkaban is treated as a major moment. Harry, Ron, and Hermione rush to greet him, and the entire school erupts into applause, showing how beloved he is within the castle community. The book lingers on this celebration, ending the year with warmth and closure after the tension of the Chamber's events. The movie does show Hagrid's return, but it presents the moment in a more condensed way, with less description of the students' reactions and without the same extended sense of relief.